morning dear students and welcome to Genesis. We are now again starting a new chapter called photosynthesis, and in today's lecture I am mainly going to cover importance of photosynthesis, structure of chloroplast and regulation of stomatal opening and closing. So photosynthesis बचपन से हम लोग पढ़ते आए हैं. This is very very important, just not for the plants but also for us. Why? Because this is the process by which plants can convert inorganic substances like carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight and convert them into organic substance like glucose and starch. And by consuming these plants we survive. So basically we are dependent on plants and plants are dependent on the process of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis will be a process where carbon dioxide and water gets added up together to produce either you call it glucose or starch. And what else is essential? Sunlight. And to capture the sunlight we also need a pigment which is known as chlorophyll pigment. Pigment means you already know something that can add color. So in plants this pigment adds green color, but that is not its function. Its function is to trap sunlight and hence it directly helps in the process of photosynthesis. Where is this pigment found? This pigment is found in an organelle called chloroplast. So name of the organelle is chloroplast and the pigment which is present inside it is chlorophyll. मतलब कंटेनर का नाम है chloroplast और उसके अंदर जो कलर है उसका नाम है chlorophyll pigment. And this chlorophyll pigment is necessary because it helps to trap sunlight. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड प्लांट को कहाँ से मिलता है? From air and water from the soil. And this results into production of the most important substance which is known as glucose or starch. Now what are they equal? I mean glucose and starch, they mean the same or there is a difference? There is a difference, okay? Glucose is a monomer whereas starch is a polymer. ये difference exactly वैसा है जैसा nucleotide और DNA में difference है. Like for example when I draw a necklace and if I draw 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pearls, then I will say this necklace is basically starch. And what is this necklace made up of? It is made up of glucose. So there are 10 glucose molecules, there can be 20, there can be 100, there can be 1,000 of them and they will form starch. So when the plant performs the process of photosynthesis, सबसे पहले बनता है glucose. But when it is going to store excess of glucose in its body, it stores it in the form of starch. So in a plant body, the glucose is stored in the form of starch. In animals, like in human beings, in birds, in dogs, the food which is produced during the process of respiration, you all know that glucose is broken down and it is used to produce energy, but yahi glucose when it is present in our body, it is also stored in another form. The name is glycogen. Please remember this is often asked in boards that what is the stored form of glucose in plant cells? Answer would be starch. And what is the stored form of glucose in animal cell? Answer will be glycogen. And if you have to write the difference between these, this is a monomer, that means it's one single unit, but starch is a polymer, that means it is made up of many such monomers together. Same is with glycogen. Again, glycogen is a polymer which is made up of many glucose units together. So they are stored form of glucose in the body. So we now know what is photosynthesis. It is the process by which a plant cell utilizes carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight to produce glucose or starch. And while it is doing this, while this entire process is being done, the plant produces one very important gas which is oxygen. Already know that oxygen is a very very important gas because life is practically impossible without oxygen on earth. Now let's quickly understand what are the various factors that are essential for the process of photosynthesis. Number 1 factor is carbon dioxide, number 2 is water, number 3 is sunlight, and number 4 is this pigment called chlorophyll pigment. What is produced during this process? Produced glucose, or we know that the stored form of it is called starch, and a byproduct is produced and the name of the byproduct is oxygen, and this is very very essential for us. What is the the importance of this process of photosynthesis in nature? Photosynthesis is very important because this is the process by which food gets prepared. Now this food either is directly consumed by plants, that means the plant is making the food and consuming it for its own sustenance, or it is indirectly helping animals for its survival. Like there are certain animals who directly eat plants like herbivores and they survive on it, or there are animals who do not eat plants directly but maybe eat plant eating animals who are called carnivores or omnivores. So directly or indirectly, this is the process by which food is being prepared and transferred in the form of energy to various forms of life. Another very important factor because of which photosynthesis is essential is the production of this gas, oxygen. So there are two importance. One is the production of food on which directly, indirectly all the organisms are dependent, and second for the production of oxygen gas. Now let's quickly understand the structure of chloroplast. Well, this is how a chloroplast looks. Remember, this is an organelle which is only found in plant cells. If you ask me the number of these organelles present per plant cell, so there are some 40 to 50 such organelles that are present in a plant cell. If we take up one such organelle out of the plant cell and observe its structure, then the structure of a chloroplast reveals that it is made up of two membranes, one outer membrane and there is inner membrane. Now, inner membrane is enclosing a colorless mass which is known as the stroma, and in the stroma there are some sac-like structures present which are called thylakoids, but these sac-like structures are present in the form of piles. That means they are piled above one over another, and one such pile is known as granum, and there are many such which is known as, the plural of granum is called grana. And if you look carefully, one granum is connected to another granum by a structure which is known as fret. Shape wise, chloroplast is oval in shape. And why are we studying this organelle? Because it contains that pigment called chlorophyll. Where exactly this chlorophyll is present? It is present on the walls of thylakoids. So basically on the walls of these thylakoids you are going to find the pigment chlorophyll which is required for the process of photosynthesis. So in a plant cell, like I have already told, there is cell wall, there is cell membrane, there are many other organelles inside it, and one of this organelle is the chloroplast which I have drawn here. Now let us talk about the pigment chlorophyll. The pigment chlorophyll is made up of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, magnesium. So you need to remember this magnesium because it is often asked that which is that substance essential for making chlorophyll. One of it is magnesium. And now you are also able to understand that why, if there is a deficiency of any of these things, then the plant will not be able to survive. For example, if there is not enough nitrogen in the soil, then the plant will not survive because nitrogen is also required for building up chlorophyll pigment. That is why agar kisi soil mein there is not enough nitrogen, we replenish it by using nitrogen based fertilizers. Similarly, magnesium, it is another very important contributor in the synthesis of chlorophyll pigment. Okay, now this pigment chlorophyll is of 9 types. So there are total 9 types of this chlorophyll pigment, but the most important ones are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. So chlorophyll pigment is the pigment which is present inside this organelle, and where exactly in the chloroplast अगर आपसे पूछा जाए, then walls of thylakoid. Chlorophyll pigment किन चीजों से बना है? Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen and magnesium. How many varieties of chlorophyll pigments are there? There are chlorophyll pigment absorbs the blue and red color of the visible spectrum of the light, and the color that it reflects is green. So ये हमें याद रखना होगा that chlorophyll pigment utilizes the blue and the red color for the process of photosynthesis, and the color that it does not use during the process of photosynthesis and reflects is green, and that is why it imparts green color. Last part that we have to understand is where are these organelles found in a plant? In a plant body, we know that the kitchen of plant body where photosynthesis takes place are the leaves. और leaves का जब हम structure पढ़ते थे, we have already understood upper layer is called the upper epidermis, lower layer is called the lower epidermis, और इसके बीच वाला जो जगह है that is occupied by the mesophyll cells, which are of 2 types, right? The elongated ones are called the palisade mesophyll and the round ones are called the spongy mesophyll. The quantity of chloroplast organelle is higher in the palisade mesophyll. That means palisade mesophil will have more of these organelles compared to spongy mesophil. So अगर आपसे कभी पूछा जाए out of the palisade mesophil and spongy mesophil where the rate or more photosynthesis takes place, it is always the palisade mesophil. Spongy mesophil का function is mainly into diffusion of air, जो हम लोग already पढ़ चुके हैं, because they have more intercellular space, they can layer up, they can form a layer of water around themselves which evaporates into water vapor and gets accumulated in the substomatal space, and during the process of diffusion it moves from the substomatal space to outside. अगर आपको ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, refer to my videos, I have explained it there. So यहाँ हमें बस इतना समझना था that the quantity of this organelle is more in the palisade mesophil compared to the spongy mesophil. So if you are asked that out of the two where photosynthesis will take place predominantly, it will be in the palisade mesophil. To understand the regulation of stomatal opening, let's quickly draw the diagram of guard cells, because we all know that opening between the guard cell, which is known as the stoma, and this stoma is responsible for two important things. One, this is the process by which water in the form of water vapor is given out, and the process is called transpiration, and this is the process by which carbon dioxide enters into the plant cells, which is utilized during the process of photosynthesis. One unique feature about this structure is that the wall which faces the stoma is thicker compared to the wall which is opposite. So when these guard cells are turgid, that is when you can see the stoma, and when they are flaccid, this inner wall, it straightens, and because of which the stoma closes. Now let us understand ऐसा होता क्या है because of which these guard cells, they become turgid or they become flaccid. Now these guard cells also have chloroplast like any other plant cell. So पहले समझते हैं the first theory which is known as the potassium ion theory. As per potassium ion theory, when the plant cells perform the process of photosynthesis, they produce ATP. This ATP is utilized by the plant cells to draw in potassium ion into the guard cells. कहाँ से? From the neighboring cells. And how? By the process of active transport. That means they are utilizing this ATP to draw potassium ions from the neighboring cells. ये जब होता है, because of this what will happen? The guard cell will become hypertonic, and when the guard cell becomes hypertonic, then along with potassium ion it is also going to draw in water from the nearby cell. और जब भी ये water को अंदर लेने की कोशिश में लगे रहेंगे, they are going to become turgid. So indirectly I can say that during the process of photosynthesis, they produce the ATP that they produce, that ATP is getting utilized by them. How? That ATP is getting utilized by them to draw in potassium ion. अगर आप में से किसी को भी लग रहा होगा कि during the process of photosynthesis ATP कैसे produce होता है, ATP नहीं produce होता है, produce होता है glucose which is broken down to release ATP, and that ATP is utilized for active transport of potassium ions from the nearby cells into the guard cell. और इसके कारण क्या होता है? The interior of the guard cell becomes hypertonic, and hypertonic होने के कारण they undergo the process of endoosmosis by which they draw in water from the neighboring cell. अब ये guard cell बन जाता है turgid, and the stoma can be seen. Through the stoma carbon dioxide enters, and इस carbon dioxide के entry के साथ this plant cell also loses water in the form of water vapor. That is why we say that transpiration is the price which is paid by the plant cell to perform photosynthesis. अब अगर हम दूसरी तरफ चले जाएं, तो दूसरी तरफ there is another theory which is known as the sugar concentration theory. As per sugar concentration theory, when a plant cell will perform photosynthesis, what it is going to produce? It will produce glucose, and this glucose will make this interior of the guard cell hypertonic, as a result of which they are going to draw in water by the process of endoosmosis, and it will become turgid. जब ये turgid हो जाएगा, then the stoma will be visible and the process will continue, which is loss of water in the form of water vapor during transpiration, and carbon dioxide will be taken in. So in दोनों process में, whether it is a potassium ion theory or it is a sugar concentration theory, the answer would be in one format. आप just have to mention that in both the cases, whatever theory you are using, the inner concentration or inner environment of the guard cell becomes hypertonic. It can be because of influx of potassium ion by active transport, or it can be because of the sugar molecules which are produced during photosynthesis, and as a result of which they will draw in water by the process of endoosmosis from the neighboring cell and become turgid. And once they become turgid, the stoma is visible. So that's all for today's lecture. We are meeting next with the next part of the chapter.